Hey everyone, it's Ashley and I'm back with a sewing tutorial, and this time I'm going to show you guys how to make quick and easy DIY Christmas ornaments. And here's just a couple examples here. These are ones that I made last year, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to make them this year and how you can also customize them to fit your own decor. These ones are the round ones, and you can also make heart-shaped ones or whatever shape that you prefer. I just thought it was really cute and kind of old-fashioned to have kind of a mix because this felt Victorian and this one just felt like traditional ones. And the nice thing about these is you don't have to worry about breaking them. You can ship them, you can do whatever you need to, and because they're made out of fabric, they're not going to go anywhere. So I'll show you guys the supplies that you need to make these, and one of the first supplies that you're going to need is a pair of scissors. You're also going to need some sort of marking tool. I'm using a disappearing ink pen. And you're also going to need some type of ribbon to hang up the actual ornament itself. You can use these type of ribbons, which run about 44 cents at Walmart for roll, or you can use something like yarn, or if you have you know, the embroidery floss, you can use that as well. So it's a really, you know, one of those types of things that you can use whenever you have around. You're also going to need some type of template. So I'm using a canning jar lid as my template for the round ones. You'll also need some fabric. It depends how many ornaments you're making, as much fabric as you'll end up using. For a handful of them, you can use probably a fat quarter, which is 18 to 21 inches. And I'm just using part of some fabric to show you guys. You also need some stuffing. And you can get a huge pack of stuffing for, I think, around $8 at Walmart. And, you know, enough to make like a pillow size. So you can make as many ornaments as you wanted. And then you'll also need some type of buttons. Just for embellishment, if you prefer. You could just make it without the buttons here, but I find that it covers over where you're stitching really well and it gives it more of a finished, clean look. So you can get a pack of buttons for, I think, like $1. And the final thing that you'll need is some felt. And I'm just using white felt because I like the way that it looks against, you know, a lot of other colors. It just pops a little bit. So those are the supplies that you'll need, and I'll go ahead and show you how you get started. Okay guys, the first step is you are going to take your fabric and you're going to turn it to the wrong side here so that you can mark on the back without leaving anything on the front. You're going to take your template, and it can be whatever size you want your ornaments to be. As you can see, it's basically the outline for your ornament. So don't worry about the back end of that so far. So we'll go ahead and trace around this. So I'll just trace this really quickly. And this will give us a little template to follow, and it makes it very quick if you use the same size over and over. Okay, so there's the first one, and what I'm going to do is cut this one out really quickly. Okay guys, I'm at the point where I just finished cutting out the circle of fabric, and if you have kind of a plain color of fabric, you can add embellishments to it so that you can make it more detailed, sort of like this one, or you can just keep it, you know, plain. If you have something that is, you know, really patterned and it doesn't need any embellishment, then you can just stop right there if you like. But if you want to make it more, you know, a little bit more interesting on the plain ones, I'll show you guys how to do this really quickly. If you know how to embroider, you can always embroider it by hand. That just takes a little bit longer. Or if you have a machine with some extra stitches, you can do that as well. Even if you have a basic sewing machine, most basic sewing machines have a zigzag stitch, and you can create, you know, kind of an interesting look even with just plain stitches and zigzags. So it doesn't have to be specialized equipment. So I'll go ahead and show you guys how to do this. So I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to want to create kind of like a sweater pattern to it, you know, where it has multiple rows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a stitch, and the first stitch I'm picking is going to be kind of this snowflake looking one. So let me go ahead and set my machine really quickly. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this straight down, and then I'm going to add another stitch on each side. Okay guys, after you get the stitches finished, this is what it'll look like. And what I did is I cut some large, actually 2 large squares of the felt. And it doesn't have to be this big, but I just made it larger for demonstration purposes. You're going to want to leave a little bit of extra space because when you cut down on the outside, you want to make it so you have a little bit for trim, essentially. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the 2 squares of felt and you're going to place them together, and then you're going to place your little round piece straight on the top. And then you're going to put your machine on a zigzag stitch, and a tighter zigzag stitch will actually be better for this because we want it to actually hold pretty tightly because we're going to stuff this. So I'll go ahead and show you guys. So the first step that you do is you just find the outside of the actual circle here, and let me zoom in just a smidgen. So you find the outside of the circle, and you're going to follow this straight along, and as you start you're going to want to go a couple stitches forwards and a couple stitches backwards just to make sure it's nice and tight. So I'm going to go backwards a couple stitches there, and then I'm going to go forwards again and following the outside. And you know, just turn this as you go. You can always leave the needle in and then just take the foot up and turn this as you need. Before you get to the very end, and let me see if I can zoom in just a smidgen more, you'll see that right here is kind of a gap in between where I've started and stopped. You're going to want to leave a little gap because that's where you're going to actually stuff the piece itself. So what you're going to do is at this section where you have probably about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch of gap, you're going to go backwards, stop the project there, and then go ahead and stuff the actual ornament. So I'm just going backwards, and then I will cut this off and show you guys a little bit better of a close-up here. So basically, let me scoot back just a smidgen here. Okay, so basically you have like a little pocket, but you're not actually stuffing this little pocket here. You're going to take the 2 layers and you're going to stuff inside the little pocket right there. And you're going to use some of the stuffing that you have. Let me zoom back out. You're going to take some of this stuffing, and if you have already separated stuffing, you can use that. And what you're going to want to do is just make sure that the stuffing is very separated. So you're going to take pieces and you're just going to kind of pull them apart to make it fluffier. And then you will take the middle section and stuff the inside of this because you want to have a little bit of puffiness to it. It just makes it look more interesting. And you can also use like a sharp object or even a pencil, something like that, and it helps you to stuff more easily. So you can just place it inside there and move the stuffing as you want it. So I try to stuff the outside ring and then stuff the inside, and it just works better. So I'm going to go ahead and stuff this, and I'll show you the next step. Okay guys, the ornament is stuffed, and as you can see, very puffy. That's the way I wanted it to look. So the next step is just to seal up this little pocket here. So I'm going to go ahead and run a zigzag stitch over this section. And just make sure to go backwards a couple stitches and then go forwards. And then go back. Okay, so it is sewn up. And the next step would be to cut the outside of this. Okay guys, what I did afterwards is if you have access to pinking shears, you can take the felt and cut it down to the size that you want with pinking shears, or if you don't, you can use still regular scissors and just cut like a little outline around it. And the next step is to actually use whatever you're going to use to attach the ornament to the tree, like if you're using ribbon like this, and you're just going to cut it to approximately the length that you want when it's folded over. So what you're going to do is find that area where you did your closing stitching, and that's why it helps to start somewhere near the top of where you're actually going to have your ornament. And you're going to attach it just by simply using a regular sewing machine stitch, or you can actually hand sew this if you want, but it's a little bit easier if you use the sewing machine. And you can attach it pretty much any way that you want. You know, some of these I have where I have a really short type of attachment, or you can make them longer and more decorative. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this part really quickly. And just go back and forth, and you're going to want to cut off all the extra strings. So you'll have to go back in and trim off those little extra pieces because you don't want that on your ornament. So once you're done with that, you could leave it as is if you really wanted to. If you want to embellish it a little bit further, all you'll have to do is take, a little button or something that you think is cute, and you could hot glue it if you don't feel like sewing by hand, or you could hand sew yourself a little button. And this is essentially what the finished product ends up looking like. And if you have a heart shape, it's the exact same process. The only difference is that it can be a little bit more tricky to sew in this area. So I would advise, if you start, towards the top of one section and then go all the way around and, stuff it in one of these areas in here. But essentially same thing, same process. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial for learning how to make your own Christmas ornaments. And if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you guys have any questions about the process, feel free to leave a comment down below as well. And I'll see you guys later. Bye!